Yo, what's up everybody? It's Merc back here with some more Draft League format content. This is going to be NPCC Week 2, and our opponent this week is going to be Classic or ClassyGengar, the ClassyGengar, one of those things. He's coach of the Orange County Mimikyus, and from what I've gathered, he's pretty new to the Draft League scene. Last week he got 5-0'd by U-Turn Crobat or Brad, and last week we 5-0'd Jacob, so we're coming off pretty hot, so it looks like we have a pretty good shot to have a nice win this week, and I really like my matchup for this game, so I'm going to talk about what he's got. And on his roster, he has Celesteela, Mimikyu, Alolan Muk, Scizor, Toxapex, Porygon Z, Noivern, Delphox, Cloyster, and Manectric. Porygon Z, Noivern, and Manectric are his Z-move mons. And you might see something very interesting, that I'm bringing the same 6 mons as last week, and that is true. I did plan with the same 6 mons, and after some genning mishaps, it turned out that I ended up having the same 5 out of the same 6 sets from last week, and as well as my Tapu Koko. So I have the same Stunfisk, Skarmory, Cresselia, Weavile, and Zygarde sets as last week, and then I have a Zapplate, Calm Mind, Tapu Koko. So that, once I realized this early on in the battle, I was kind of like, oh shit. Obviously, you would normally pick that up. I didn't double check my team, but because I had the same exact 6 mons, it proved to be sneaky. So I only noticed till once the battle began, and I didn't want to take his time anyways. He brought PZ, Delphox, Alolan Muk, Noivern, Manectric, and Celesteela. So he has no Stealth Rocker. He has no way to get rid of hazards. I don't think he had anything on his roster to do that. I could be wrong, but he had like Defog, Scizor, and that's about it. And let's just get into it. So I wanted to get my rocks up and my spikes up as soon as I could, because his team is extremely hazard weak and he has no way to get rid of them on this team. So I'm just going to lead off with my Stunfisk, and once I clicked on my moveset, I saw that I still had Electro Web, and I was like, oh, I have the same team as last week, so I knew this was going to make the battle more difficult. He's just going to fire off an Ice Beam right here, and that's going to do a lot, showing that he's most likely timid. He could be Scarf or anything like that. He wasn't download, but I got my rocks up. I knew I could take the hit, and if he was like Z Hyper Beam, which I know he likes on this thing, he probably wasn't going to try and do that turn 1 against my Stunfisk, since he'll probably want that from my Crest. So I'm going to go out into Crest and scout, see if he's Scarf or something, because a Ice Beam's going to bounce off. So this Cresselia is more specially defensive because of how I was prepping for Jacob last week. So it'll be really interesting to see. One of the most important things is my Weavile is not going to outspeed his Noivern if it's max speed, because my Weavile is meant to outspeed an Alolan Persian, and I don't have Ice Shard or anything, so that's going to be rough. Anyways, I'm going to make a play here and hard switch into Skarm, as he's going to go for the Z move Breakneck Blitz, assumably off a Hyper Beam. So my play here was scouting for either this to happen, or if he was choice locked and he was going to pull a double, then I wanted to get Skarm in to get hazards up, because the Muk would have came in. But this thing is a Z move Hyper Beam from an adaptability Porygon Z, and that just does a ton of damage. Holy cow, that just obliterated my Skarmory. So that's going to make it very tricky to get my Skarm back to health, because I actually do need it in this game for checking his Muk and like taking dragon hits from the Noivern and some other stuff. So now that he's wasted his Z move, I can just go back safely into Cress, and this is still Crow Cress from last week. So if I get rid of the Muk, then this thing has a pretty good shot of winning again. I'm gonna fire off a Psyshock because I just want damage off on this thing, because I knew I could take what he has, and he did reveal that he had Shadow Ball here. So I believe I can take 2 more, but I don't want to risk it, so I'm just going to rest up here, as this Porygon Z, as you can see, is being extremely problematic for me early game, because it's just a problem because it's strong. So he's going to get the Shadow Ball Spadef drop, so that's a throwback to last week. He got a little lucky in this game, I will say, and you'll probably see that as the game goes out. So I'm going to get my health back, but I'm at -1 SPDF, and I don't want to test my luck with rest talks early on because I need crest. So I'm going to make the play and go hard into my Weavile. I don't need it as much because it's not outspeeding Noivern, which I kind of needed, as I did kind of just predict him to go for the Shadow Ball, and it was unlikely that he'd go right for a Hyper Beam or something like that because I could easily capitalize on it. So now I'm just going to fire off the Icicle Crash because I want to knock this thing out, and a knockoff won't kill him because Z Crystals don't count as an item basically. So it's gonna go into Celesteela so I can get some nice damage off, but I miss, which is really unfortunate because I would have loved to scout the Celesteela set. And this thing is a problem for me because the mons that can switch into it are not the mons that can really damage it that well, and I need to scout out a set. So Cresselia can just take any hit. It just doesn't care what this thing goes for, but it can't do anything back is the issue. So getting off that Icicle Crash would have been nice to get some chip and to just kind of scout what his set is. So he's going to go for the Flash Cannon, run a quick calc. That just looks like he's defensive, and he's got the lefties, of course. So this Crest and the Celesteela are going to sit on the field for a lot of this game. Not just yet, but later on. So I clicked Psyshock here. That was a mistake. It wasn't a misclick. It was just kind of like I wasn't thinking and I clicked Psyshock. So he's going to Leech Seed me up. So we've seen Flash Cannon and Leech Seed. I don't know what his other set is. I'm not feeling safe to switch into other stuff until I see his set. I am faster than this thing. I didn't think he would be faster than me unless he was offensive. I'm assuming my Skarm's also faster because I doubt he'll run speed. Now here I really need to get some momentum, so I'm going to go right into my Tapu Koko, even though I know this Flash Cannon is going to do a lot, but I figured he wouldn't go for the EQ right here if he had it, as he does just go for the Flash Cannon, and this is gonna do a shit ton. Like, it does well over, or a little bit over half, which is bad for me, but it's okay. So what I'm going to do here is fire off the Calm Mind, because if he went into Manectric, making the offensive play, if he was like Assault Vest or something like that, then this would let me 1v1 the Manectric. And Calm Mind's nice because now that I know that his Muck is a switch-in, I can get off a +1 Volt Switch right here and do some nice damage. And what I think he's going to do is just go for the poison move, so I'm going to try and get my Skarmory back in and heal it up and get some spikes. So I get a nice 50% off with the +1 Volt Switch, showing that he is most certainly Assault Vest. And I'm just going to go into Skarm, and I do get the read correctly, as I don't think he had a reason not to go for Poison Jab there, but I get my Skarm back in, which is nice, so that means I can heal it up, and then I can get some spikes and really pressure his team. So first things first, I gotta heal up. If he had like Thunderbolt or something to take advantage of Electric Terrain, that'd be pretty sick. But he's just going to go for the knockoff, and I am more specially defensive Skarm, so this is still hurting a little bit. I have some defense, but I know that now that I've lost my items, he's not going to be doing as much damage, so I'm going to lay up a Spike, but he is going to show that he has Crunch, which is a pretty nice tech, so that he could get damage on the Skarmory, and I'm just going to roost up and then try and get some more hazards and eventually just phase around, because I don't fear anything that can threaten my Skarmory out, because like Manectric and Noivern aren't beating Cress really. So he's going to go for the Crunch, and he's going to get the defense drop. So that's another instance of luck in his favor. It's not game changing, but it's really annoying. So here I don't have anything that can switch into this Muck right now, so I'm just going to click Whirlwind, which was kind of a bad play, but just getting the Muck out of there was really what I needed to do, because I didn't want to sack my Skarmory, because I was thinking I could potentially just get a 6-0 now that I have the hazards up, because he really doesn't have anything that can break Cress aside from the Muck, but that's taking Spikes and Stealth Rocks now. So I'm just going to hard back into my Cresselia, and I know that I've already burnt one turn of sleep, and he's going to go for the T-Bolt here, and that's just, it just bounces off. And now we'll start to see as I'm going to continue being not so fortunate, as he's going to go for the Shadow Ball, and I'm just going to try and get a good roll off the Rest Talk. This is my second turn of sleep. I think I mentioned that already. So I'm going to go for the Sleep Talk, hoping for Calm Mind or Psyshock. Either is great. I get Rest. So that's annoying, and I'm basically forced to rest up again because I need this thing healthy. So the RNG is kind of not favoring my Crest set this game, which is a little too bad. I had a different set in mind that would have done other things, but So I'm going to rest back up because I need health on this Crest, because Noivern is a big threat to me. This Porygon Z, of course, is a big threat to me. There's a lot of things that are spooky because he has a lot of special attackers on his team, and he's just insistent on clicking Shadow Ball, even though he could easily go into Muck. And yeah, oh yeah, and he gets another Spadef drop, which is incredible. So that means I'm going to have to make another play. So he's gotten like 2 or 3 Spadef drops and a defense drop. I'm going to get Psyshock here, which is nice to get some damage off, and that's going to put him in range of hazards. And now I can't sack Cress. I cannot do it. And my least useful member is Weavile, so if he does predict that and go for the Hyper Beam or Thunderbolt or something and knock me out, it's not the end of the world, but I can't lose Cress. Like, it's too important in this game. But he's going to go for the Hyper Beam and he's going to miss, and I don't feel bad in the slightest about that because that's absolutely justice, because he's gotten a lot of luck in his favor. So I'm going to knock out the Porygon finally. It was a huge threat to my team. Definitely deserved to dodge that. And now he's going to bring the Delphox, and this isn't the type of guy that just brings something in to bluff. I think he's definitely Choice Scarfed, just by the way he's been playing. So I'm just going to switch out and go back into Cress, because Cress can just drink all the hits in the world. So he's going to go for the Flamethrower, and this shit just bounces off. It does no damage at all. So I can go for the Sleep Talk again, and because I think I have 1 turn of sleep left or something like that. Yeah. So he's just going to keep on Flamethrowing for like no real reason because it's not doing enough. It does a chunk, but I can go for the Sleep Talk, hopefully get a Calm Mind or a Psyshock and get some damage off. I get Rest again. That's awesome. So I've gotten like 1 Psyshock out of 4 or 5 Sleep Talk rolls, so that's a little annoying. And the rest have been Rest, so I'm just forced to go for Rest again because, like I said, I can't let this thing die because then I'd be screwed for this game, and I'm not a fan of losing, especially to a team that taxed me that I don't think is better than me. So I'm just going to rest up. The Muck's back in here, and the Muck's annoying, but I'm going to make a man's play, and predicting the Dark move, I know that Skarmory doesn't really want to come in, or no, I know that Skarm can't take a hit, so I'm going to go hard into Weavile, because I don't need Weavile's Life Orb at this point to do damage, and I'm confident he's not going to go for the poison move. He does go for the knockoff here, and Weavile's going to take that pretty nicely, and he doesn't get the poison touch or anything. I lose my life orb, but what I can do here is just go for the Icicle Crash and knock this thing out, as he just opts to get some Shadow Sneak chip, and he doesn't get the poison touch again, which is nice. And I'm going to actually hit my Icicle Crash this time and get rid of the Muck, so that's 2 kills for Weavile in the game. And now he lost his Dark type, so he can't kill Cresselia very easily. But of course he does have the Celesteela. Now a play I could have done here was just sack off Weavile and get the knockoff damage and get rid of his lefties. However, after he let his Muck die, I have the potential to just 6-0 him with Cresselia, and it just turns into a dick-slapping fight between a Crowcrest and a leech-seeding, toxicing, whatevering Celesteela. So this is just a long, the recording for this took 10 minutes, just this segment alone, so I sped it up a fair bit, but basically what I'm going to try and do in this sequence is get to +6 and see if I can break the Celesteela, because if I can do that, then I get the 6-0 win, and then I get like 4 kills for Crest on the game, which would be kind of funny because it being 9-0 would just be hilarious. Here, he's going to make one interesting play and go into his Delphox. I actually get a Sleep Talk Psyshock roll, which is incredible. I'm assuming what he was trying to do there is trick me a Scarf, and if I didn't get the Psyshock there, I would have certainly switched out because Trick Scarf was pretty obvious. And then I like pull up PK Hex because I wanted to do something for a second. He gets a Flamethrower burn, doesn't matter. Like, this whole sequence of plays is just agonizing and just really awful. And the kicker is that was a +4 Psyshock, and after lefties and Leech Seed, that essentially did nothing. And the fact that I have to rest up a fair bit because he's getting a lot of chip damage off on me means that I'm probably not going to be able to break this, but I wanted to get up to +6 just to see if I could potentially break it. But as you'll see as we get closer and closer, I get my 5th Combine and I'm going to wake up pretty soon and get that last one. You'll see that Psyshock just doesn't do anything at +6, and I don't think I could kill his Celesteela before he PP stalls me out of Rest and Sleep Talks and Psyshocks, because yeah, that just bounces off, and that was +6. And at this point, I believe I'm going to rest up, and then I'm going to actually pull the switch out. So I get my Crow Crest up to +6, and then I pull it out. So that's pretty incredible. Was definitely a frustrating thing to go with, but once I learned that I couldn't break this thing possibly, I had to go out into my Stunfisk and threaten this thing out with the electric move. However, I don't have Discharge, I have Electro Webs, so I can't really do that much damage, but I'm still going to go for it. And he is actually going to make a pretty interesting play, going into his Manectric right here, knowing that I could have predicted down the ground move, but I don't know if he was... I mean, he was obviously just predicting the electric move so he could get his Lightning Rod, which I don't care because Stunfisk can still live a +1 HP Ice unless he was like Choice Specs and at +1, because that would certainly hurt a fair bit. I never figured out what this item was, and I didn't even bother to calc it. I just figured, okay, if Stunfisk can probably live it, it lives it, and I can go for the Earth Power and get rid of the main. So that's good. Manectric was going to be annoying, so now I can easily just spam electric move with my Tapu Koko, and basically I just need Tapu Koko to get off an electric attack and to kill the Celesteela, and then I basically have the game won. But he still has this Noivern right here. It's going to take some rocks damage, and I still want the 6-0 because I'm really pissed off at this point, because I got hacked a lot, and I'm just frustrated about this because I want the 6-0. He's going to go for the Boom Burst, which I don't agree that you should ever bring Boom Burst Noivern, but that's a Choice Specs Boom Burst, and that's actually going to work out for him. Dark Pulse obviously would have been a better bring, because Unstab Boom Burst is just dumb, but whatever. I don't care. So this thing's actually going, if I don't get a Calm Mind right here, this thing is going to be able to knock me out. I get a Psyshock, which isn't bad, because I'm getting damage off, and basically I kind of panicked for a little bit. I was like, wait, I could potentially lose to this thing if he keeps on spamming Boom Burst, but then I kind of calmed down and realized that Choice Banded E-Speed from my dog could just knock it out, and it's going to help a little bit that my Crest is actually going to roll double Psyshock from the Sleep Talks, which is probably the first time the entire match that happened. I got a lot of rest in this, like a ton of rest, so that's great that I get the Psyshock off. I have to let I have to let something die now, but wait, what did I let die? Oh, I let my Stunfisk die. I messed that up on the sheet. I'll have to fix that. But yeah, I let my Stunfisk die because why did I do that? Because he had Celesteela left, and in case, I mean, Crest outsped the Celesteela, so in case I needed to do something with that, then it was there, I guess. But yeah, Zygarde's going to come in and pick this thing off with an extreme speed, and that's just the game because all he has left is Celesteela, and I can one-shot it with my Tapu Koko, so all I have to do is safely get it in, and then that's it. So he's going to go into Celesteela, and I just have to sack something off and then get Koko in. So I'm going to go into Skarm right here, and what I considered doing is baiting the Flamethrower and then just going right into Koko if I lived a Flash Cannon, of course, which I think I might have been able to. Probably not, but it's possible since I was Spadef. But I wanted to bait the Flamethrower and go into Tapu Koko, but then I realized, like, if he predicted that or just went for the Flash Cannon, then I'd lose my Koko, and then I'd have to rely on my Zygarde to knock it out, and that could potentially be hairy. So what I'm going to do here is just opt to sack off Skarm and go for the Brave Bird and let the recoil kill me, because I don't want to let this thing get a kill, because fuck this Celesteela, man. It's stupid. It's really fat. Like, it didn't do anything this game. It just sat there. Like, I mean, I guess Crest also sat there, but it really threatened his team because I was call mining everywhere, and it forced him to sack off like a thing. But now I just go into Tapu Koko and I click Thunderbolt and the game's gonna end. So this was a really frustrating battle. This was a long battle. I win the game, but it was just annoying. Like it was just really, really annoying having to play this game. But that's how it goes sometimes, and we'll take a 4-0 win against Classic. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I certainly didn't. If you did, drop a like, leave a comment, talk about the game, whatever, man. I'll see you guys later. Bye.